Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing Tolkien. Now this was directed by Dom Karukowski and stars Nicholas Hoult and Lily Collins. Tolkien explores the formative years of an orphan author as he finds friendship, love and artistic inspiration among a fellow group of outcasts at school. This film took me by surprise. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. I didn't know a lot about it going in and I didn't know what to expect. I'd only seen the trailer and it looked kind of interesting to me. But this had a real big effect on me. I was blown away by this. It was a simple told story, but told differently. Not like your usual biopics, it's done sort of a bit different. The film sort of starts why he's in World War I and we get to learn about who he is and the experiences he had through flashbacks of him remembering what transpired for ultimately him to be where he was. And this was really interesting. I went back to as a young kid, moved from the countryside into town. It sort of looks at how that affected him and how he ended up at a particular boarding school, and at that school he was a sort of bit of an outcast and struggled a bit, but ultimately became friends with these three other kids. And they ultimately started a group together, like a tea group at Burroughs, which was a sort of a tea place that they went all the time. They would go there and they would discuss many things, much as art and variety of other things. And they're all really creative people. Besides Tolkien wanting to be an author and in love with sort of words, another one of his friends had aspirations to become a poet. Another one was an artist, and the last one was a composer. And as part of the group, they inspired each other, they helped each other grow, they supported each other through a variety of things. And they really wanted to change the world with their art, and that was their idea to begin with. A lot of the choices they made to become artists were frowned upon, so they had to try and find other ways to express themselves ultimately. And it was really about the fellowship of these friends and the bond that was formed between all four of them at this particular school, and then followed them on to Oxford, where their bond grew stronger. And they inspired each other and really helped each other through their formative years of becoming who they would become ultimately later. It also looks at the relationship that Tolkien had with ultimately the girl who would end up becoming his wife, and this is played by Lily Collins. The relationship between these two is fantastic to watch on screen. There's a real connection with them. You feel for them, you want to get behind them, and you accept this love story. It's very realistic, and their performances are really great, and they have really great chemistry on screen. And this was something else that drew me in to it, that I really got sucked into this film. And it also looks at sort of a fantasy element in a way. It's more about him imagining things in his head of the stories he wants to tell. And all this sort of takes place within the World War I sequences, as he's sort of seeing the horrors of war. In his feverish state, he's envisioning the things he imagines coming to life. You know, soldiers on horses, and imagines that ultimately were images were taken from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit as well. And this was kind of interesting choice as well. I think all the performances were solid. And Nicholas Hoult, who's proving himself to be a really solid actor, who's done a variety of roles and had even done a Salinger sort of authored biopic similar to this as well, which he was fantastic in, and I highly recommend that if you can get your hands on. He's just really solid here, believable as a character you can get behind, and you go on the journey with him and you want him to succeed and survive the war and ultimately become the man he wants to be and the author he wants to be. Lily Collins is fantastic as well. She's an actress that's sort of really starting to grow on me. I've seen different performances of her and she's really great in this. And like I said, the chemistry she has with Nicholas Hoult is fantastic to watch on screen as well. It's very creative and inventive in certain aspects. It's a simply told story, but a very engaging one you want to be part of and experience. And I really liked that, and that's what really blew me away about this film. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did or get swept up in it as much as I did. Now, the only sort of criticisms I would have for this film is it took a while to get going. It's a bit slow to begin with, and I didn't really feel a connection with anyone, not him or his brother or the mother character to begin with. But it wasn't until he formed this friendship with these other kids that it really became really interesting to me. There was a connection there, creativity. I like being creative, and I think creative people should express how they feel, express what they think of the world. And I think this was a big draw to this particular film. and the artistry to, and the idea of creativity and changing the world with art and creation. And I really like that. I sometimes like biopics about authors because I like to see their inspiration, where it came from, and how they were able to write these great books and what their life was like and their experiences. This is really great because it's an accumulation of his experiences that he puts into the books. His experiences in war, his experiences in life, being an orphan. This is something I didn't know about, and the other things I didn't know is he ultimately became an English professor, which I didn't know either. And it's just interesting to see how he navigated through this, and how this story and these ideas and this world he created was with him all the time, and how he expanded on that, and how he kept creating languages and drawing pictures and creating stories. And he's to me, such a fascinating character that I just was sucked in. As soon as he met these young kids, I was hooked from there to the ending. I didn't take my eyes off the screen, my mind didn't wander, I was just there with him, and I absolutely loved that about this film. And I would say this is the biggest surprise film for me this year so far. And I absolutely think this film is very solid, very interesting, and I was really impressed with it. Final verdict. Look, if you're interested in how Tolkien came up with the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit book, this is definitely for you. If you like movies about authors, biopics about authors and creative people, you might enjoy this thoroughly as well. I would recommend this to people who like movies like that, or that are a bit different, who like biopics that are done differently, with an interesting sort of character that you can get behind and get swept up in the story. This is definitely for you, and I was really impressed with this. I'm going to give Tolkien 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed my experiences with this, and because of that, this is ultimately going on my top 10 of the year. A lot out of it. I don't know if everybody else is going to get as much out of it as I did, but I absolutely thought this film was solid, well done, well acted, well put together, and just a really fun and entertaining film. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down the bottom. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.